Just when it seemed like the Colorado quarterback battle had been decided, there's now another twist that may have fans upset.
You are Locked On Buffs, your daily podcast on the Colorado Buffaloes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Buffs. I'm your host, Kevin Borba. Today's episode is brought to you by our sponsors over at Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. We are also brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network. So thank you for making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. So make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. Just yesterday, I had talked about how the murmurs from what was being said, from what I was being told, and how the social media videos were looking, that it looked like Kaidon Salter was going to win the starting job, right? I mean, he's a veteran, Conference USA MVP in 2023. He comes into this Colorado program with over, I think around nearly 30 starts to his name throughout his career. And all of a sudden, the Buffs, I mean, they had Julian Lewis, but Kaidon Salter, I mean, he's been a multi-year starter, has 50-plus passing touchdowns to his name, another 20-ish rushing touchdowns. He does everything. He's a veteran. Colorado has had offensive line issues in the past, and I know people are expecting this is the year for the offensive line. I will believe it when I see it. I'm confident as well. I will say that this is the year for the offensive line, but again, I will believe when I see it. So having a mobile quarterback who can make plays with his legs certainly doesn't hurt. Well, with all signs pointing to Kaidon Salter being the starter, On3's Pete Nakos reported that the Buffs may be trotting out a two-system quarterback. This is what he said. Deion Sanders and offensive coordinator Pat Shurmur have been mum to this point on the ongoing quarterback battle with Liberty transfer Kaidon Salter and true freshman Julian Lewis. It says Salter is the more experienced of the two, playing in 30 career games. One source told On3 that they give the Liberty transfer the edge. However, it says that does not mean Lewis is out of the picture. One source told On3 it would not be surprised if Colorado employs some type of platoon situation with Lewis getting a few drives per game. I mean, we all know the old adage. If you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks, right? And I don't feel like there's ever been a system where they've proven that to be wrong. I think for the most part, riding with a single quarterback is usually the safest thing to do. We've just never seen it. Right? We've seen it tried. It's just not one of those things. Like I remember the most, I guess, prevalent one was Notre Dame, when they had Deshaun Kaiser, and I think it was Malik Zaire, I believe was his name, right, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Malik Zaire. They had those two. Michigan kind of last year, I guess, tried to do it at times with Alex Orji and Davis Warren. There's been others, right? It's just one of those things where it kind of shows, if you're trying to play two quarterbacks, that you either, one, don't believe in the guy who you don't believe in your starter, but you obviously, there's just something missing from his game where it's like, we need to use this other guy. And I also think this could be sort of an effort to keep Julian Lewis happy, right? You bring in a 5-star freshman quarterback, and Colorado did the smart thing by bringing in a veteran transfer and not handing Julian Lewis the keys right away. But I think if they force the issue and like really make it so Julian's playing, say, a quarter or X amount of drives, you're going to kill some momentum in the game. And I think this is more likely based on how the Colorado fan base has been in terms of passion, we'll call it, you're going to stir up a quarterback controversy at all times, right? You're literally, if you go the two quarterback route, you are giving your fan base, you are giving media members like myself and other people, you are giving everyone who talks about college football an opportunity to divide your locker room, right? That is what it comes down to, right? If you just go, hey, Kaidon Salter's the starter, we'll turn to Julian if we feel like it's needed, but right now we're riding with K-Salt. Or, I mean, it's the other way around, right? If we're riding with Julian Lewis, and if we feel like he's overwhelmed or something, you go with Kaidon Salter. I personally have always been of the mindset that you go with the veteran and bring in the freshman when he's ready. We've seen it work with Trevor Lawrence. We've seen it work with Bryce Young didn't start right away. We've seen it work so many times where it's like these programs have these blue chip freshman guys, DJ Lagway, Arch Manning. Quinn Ewers didn't start right away. These programs have these blue chip quarterbacks, and they don't start them right away. They let them ease into it, and then they have success. It's just one of those things where it's like, hey, if you don't throw him into the fire right away, you allow him to get a little confident. Caleb Williams, same thing, right? So I've always been of the mindset that you start Kaidon Salter, and if he does well, great. Like, ride him and use his playmaking abilities throughout the entire season. But if he struggles, then you have the ace in the hole in Juju Lewis. But if you're playing both at the same time, I think you're opening up Colorado to sort of have this ongoing, like, who should start debate. And I think that's a distraction, right? And I think we could pretend that, like, oh, that's only a distraction to the people on the outside. No, because guess what? People are going to be asking the players, like, hey, who do you think you should start? They're going to be asking the coaches, who's going to start this week? They're going to ask Julian Lewis, like, Juju, like, hey, do you think you should start? Or Kaidon Salter, do you think you should start? Did you feel like you did enough to start, right? That is what's going to happen. So I'm a little shocked. That this sort of development has emerged, because from what what Neely reported with the DNVR guys, and what I've been told as well, is like Kaidon Salter has looked more, he's looked more experienced, as he should. He's like I think a fourth or fifth year guy. This is his fifth year of college ball. Fourth or fifth year guy who has been there, done that, right? He has experience. He's played at this level before. Julian Lewis should be getting ready for his senior year of high school football, not his freshman year of college football. He enrolled early, and it's not a slight against him. It's just he's so young that, he's kind of behind the eight ball there. But it's one of those things where it's like, I just feel like you're opening up this team for controversy if you go that route. Now, obviously, we'll just have to wait and see, and it wouldn't shock me if Colorado tries it out a little bit. But when I hear the words platoon system, I get a little concerned, right? I just don't think we've seen teams try it in the past where it's like, hey, we're going to use this guy in short yardage situations, and we're going to use this guy for whatever. Like, we all know, right? No program has mastered the two quarterback system because it never works, right? It never works to the point where it's just like, hey, everyone loves their role. Everyone on the outside loves how it's operating, and it's just going smoothly. That's just not how it's going to work. So we'll have to stay tuned with that development, I guess. When we come back, Shedeur Sanders just suffered a serious, I won't say serious injury, but he suffered an injury that could have serious implications on his role with the Cleveland Browns. But first, quick break. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there's Monarch Money. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or your phone. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data, visuals, get smart categorization for your spending, and finally feel in control of your money. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONCollege at monarchmoney.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONCollege. Welcome back to Locked On Buffs. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you guys for tuning in, making me your first listen of the day. Let's talk Shedeur Sanders. So, the Browns situation has been nothing short of a soap opera, to say the least. The Browns, they drafted him after drafting Dylan Gabriel, which was odd. They then had owner Jimmy Haslam the other day just kind of be like, hey, it wasn't my pick, right? It was Andrew Berry's pick. And we had Spencer German from Locked On Browns come on the show, and he was like, yeah, I think that was sort of him saying like he wasn't expecting it, but not that he didn't endorse it. And I could see both ways, right? I think, and I said this to Spencer, I think tone and sort of phrasing play a big difference in how things are perceived. And let's just say Jimmy Haslam did not look excited about the pick. And it's one of those things where it's like, okay. And then Shedeur doesn't get any reps with the ones at all, pretty much this training camp, right? He's gotten a handful, but it's mostly been Pickett, Gabriel, Flacco. And then Shedeur's out there with the equipment managers. Then all of a sudden, Dylan, Gabriel, Kenny Pickett get hurt. And all of a sudden they are like, you know what? We're going to start Shedeur for our first preseason game. And I was a little concerned because it's like, okay, he's gotten 0 reps with the ones. How's that going to impact? I mean, you know what? He did good, right? Throws for 2 touchdowns, 138 yards. They win 30-10. And I mean, yes, it's a preseason game, but Shedeur Sanders, he looked good. And I think it's okay for people to admit, like, yeah, he had good moments, right? Were there some moment, like, does he still sort of run around in the backfield and take unnecessary sacks? Yes, that has been his flaw his entire career in college. Was a lot of the times he was sacked. He was sacked 94 times in 2 years at Colorado. And I'm not going to pretend like the offensive line wasn't terrible, but I think you could probably attribute 20 to 30 of those sacks to Shedeur, right? He is frequently trying to extend plays, and I think sometimes he just is too committed to not letting a play die. And it's like, okay, buddy, if you don't have to do this, right? We could just throw it away every once in a while. So anyway, they give him the start. He does well. And then Kevin Stefanski's like, I don't know if this is going to really impact like the quarterback battle. It's like, he does well, but he's not going to move up the depth chart. Got it. Okay. And then it's like they go back into the practice and Shedeur's not getting a ton of reps with starters. And then today, on Wednesday, strains his oblique. And there's a lot of outrage because he had gotten 0 passing attempts on the day, and it turned out because he had strained his oblique. And now I'm concerned, right? I think Shedeur's there's really only one way you can handle this. You can't rush back from injury. I know Texas quarterback Quinn Ewers strained his oblique. I think it was week 2 or 3, and really wasn't the same when he came back, right? There's a lot of that. You need that muscle when you're throwing, right? You're tightening your core. It's just one of those things where if you're a quarterback, you can't really, you can play through it, but you can't play through it and not expect it to impact you, right? So Shedeur Sanders got to rest up. In the meantime, I think that makes things a little bit more complicated with the Browns, right? You have Tyler Huntley, who they brought in when the injuries started piling up to the other guys. You have Gabriel Pickett, who have yet to play in the preseason, but they're probably going to play this week. And you had Joe Flacco, who's probably not going to play until the final preseason game, if he plays at all. And Kevin Stefanski said today, like, hey, before the injury happened, like, hey, if Gabriel and Pickett can't go, we're starting Shedeur again. And now Shedeur's not expected to play. And so it's like, what is one preseason performance enough to keep him on the roster? Is one preseason performance enough for confidence to really be maintained in it, right? I think Shedeur is an NFL starting caliber quarterback. I think Shedeur played really well in that first game, but the Browns have 4 quarterbacks and 5 quarterbacks, counting Shedeur. They have 4 other quarterbacks, and they're probably going to try to trade someone. I mean, they tried last year with Tyler Huntley of all people, and it didn't work, right? Nobody pulled the trigger on trading for Tyler Huntley because they knew the Browns were bluffing. And then the Browns released him, and then he got picked up, and then he got dropped again, and then he got signed by the Dolphins, right? It's one of those things where I think the NFL teams are going to call their bluff, and so then they have to make a tough decision. And it's like, okay, do we keep Shedeur Sanders or do we keep Tyler Huntley or whatever? So very inopportune injury for Shedeur. I hope he rests up. I hope he gets better, and I hope that this doesn't affect his standing with the team, because sometimes, I mean, they got to cut the roster down, and you got to make tough decisions. And sometimes the decisions kind of are made for you, where it's like, hey, you were injured, we didn't get to see a lot of you, and you didn't do enough to work your way up the depth chart. So it's one of those things where it's like, hey, we appreciate you coming out here, but we'll just have to see you next time, right? Or we wish you luck, right? So Shedeur's injured at the moment. We'll see. I'll keep you guys updated, of course, every step of the way about his injury. We'll see if this impacts his standing with the team, if they're going to release him, trade him, or move him to the practice squad, whatever it is. I'll keep you guys updated because we're locked on Buffs here. So when we come back, we're going to be talking about, do we trust Pat Shurmur, the play caller, without Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter? But first, quick break. This episode of Locked On Buffs is brought to you by our sponsors over at the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day for free and available wherever you get your podcast. So thank you guys for making me your first listen of the day. Do we trust Pat Shurmur? Now, This feels like probably a loaded question, and it's like, do we trust him to what? Simple question. Do we trust Pat Shurmur to change up the offense enough, tailor it to Kaidon Salter, Juju Lewis, whoever's at quarterback, Ryan Staub? It probably won't be Ryan Staub, but do we trust him to expand his offense and really take this program to the next level? I asked the question on X to see what you guys would have to say. I wanted like a scale of 1 to 10 sort of vibe, and I would say right now I trust Pat Shurmur at about a 6. We have not seen him call plays without Shedeur Travis, and with Shedeur and Travis Hunter, LeJontay Wester, Jimmy Horn, Will Shepard, 4 NFL wide receivers and an NFL quarterback, Colorado's total offense ranked 69th in the country, 383 yards per game. Now, a lot of this, it's low because they were such a one-dimensional offense, right? You look at scoring offense, and all of a sudden they're 31st in the country at 32.9 points per game. But you look at, like, we'll go passing, because I think that was where they were most effective, obviously. They were 6th in the country in passing yards per game with 318. Only programs that had a better passing offense were San Jose State, North Texas, Miami, Ole Miss, and Syracuse, right? Rushing offense, though, I mean, that's where it gets ugly. Colorado has yet to have a useful rushing attack under Deion Sanders. I think a lot of that is due to the offensive line being bad. I think a lot of that's due to them playing through Shedeur as much as they did. Like, obviously, the quarterback is going to touch the ball every play, but when you just never run the ball, like Colorado ran the ball 341 times last year. For reference, there was only 6 teams that ran it less, and it's Hawaii, who's pretty much a run and shoot air raid offense. UCLA, who, I mean, I don't really know what their problem was. UCLA was terrible last year. Middle Tennessee like to sling the rock a lot. Arizona, very pass-heavy offense. Same thing with San Jose State and Rice. Colorado averaged the least amount of rushing yards per game in the entire country last year, 65.2. The only team in the country to not average at least 7 yards per game. And then yards per rush, they were second lowest in the country at 2.48 yards per game. Now, rushing touchdown-wise, they were tied for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9th, right? So when they got into the red zone, they used the run game. It was just the run game was not effective until they got to goal and distance, right? So do I trust Pat Shurmur? I mean, I give him a 6 right now because we've yet to see him have to rely on a run game. We've yet to see him have to be creative in how he schemes things up, right? The offense is changing, right? If it's Kaidon Salter, Julian Lewis, it doesn't matter. They're not Shedeur. Right? They both have different styles. I think Julian Lewis, when things are all said and done, will probably have the biggest arm of the 3. He's also pretty mobile. Kaidon Salter is a straight-up dual-threat quarterback who I think his legs make him a huge threat, right? I think Deion Sanders alluded to that the other day where it's like, hey, we don't get to see Salter at his fullest potential because we're not allowing quarterbacks to run. We can't hit him. So, like, he has to stay in the pocket. So you're taking away the biggest aspect of his game. Will Pat Shurmur be confident enough or comfortable enough to tailor his offense to them? Will he be confident and comfortable enough to rely on the run game, right? You have Dallin Hayden. You have Simeon Price. You have DeKalin Taylor, right? You have all these guys, Michael Welch, where I'm not thrilled by this running back room. It doesn't wow me, but there's some potential there. Does he lean into that potential, or does Colorado go into that mode where it's like we run the ball a couple times? I mean, Jordan Dominic said it when he was on the show. Colorado would lose confidence running the ball, and then why not just trust Shedeur and the passing attack when you have that many weapons, right? So are they going to run the ball and stick with it? Like, are they going to get stuffed a couple times and be like, okay, we're not going to run the ball again until the third quarter? And it's like, why? You have to be multidimensional to get to trick defenses, to get behind defenses, and Colorado didn't do that. So do I trust Pat Shurmur? In a way, I do, because we've seen his offense produce. We've seen his play calling produce. Do I trust him to really change things and get things going to the fullest potential? I'm still on the fence, but I also think that I don't think it's a coincidence that Byron Leftwich is joining the staff at whatever capacity he is. I think Byron Leftwich is here to, if he's not going to call plays all the time, I think he's here to be a consultant and sort of help with those decision makings. And I mean, Deion Sanders has a quick trigger when it comes to moving off coordinators. And if Shurmur doesn't, I guess, live up to his end of the bargain, I mean, his replacement's built in to the program. So you guys comment below. Let me know what you think. Do we trust Pat Shurmur? Are we trusting Pat Shurmur to change the offense to the quarterbacks they have? Are we trusting Pat Shurmur to have an offense that's productive like last year? And are we trusting Pat Shurmur to add a different wrinkle and different dimension to this offense that they've been lacking, right? Colorado's biggest flaw on offense outside the offensive line is that they're predictable. And we saw it in the bowl game. BYU basically just dropped everyone and said, hey, take the short throws, and we're going to get a little confusing up front. See what you guys can do. And Colorado can do anything. So you have to be able to adapt. If you can't adapt, you'll die. And if you die, it means you're not scoring points and not winning games, which means you're getting fired. So that's my take on the matter. Comment below what you guys think. Scale of 1 to 10, do we trust them? And I appreciate you guys for tuning in to Locked On Buffs, making me your first listen of the day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow. I will see you guys tomorrow.